and we proposed a 5-part deal, 5 contracts.
3 years for playing, 10 years of worldwide marketing rights, a 14-year PR contract, a music contract. The total package was, we owned him lock, stock, and barrel.
Has anybody ever mentioned the amount of money we paid Pele?
Not a lot of money.
Pele was paid $4.5 million.
$3 million for 2 years.
$5 million.
Altogether, $2.7 million.
The highest paid player in baseball became the home run king that year. Henry Hank Aaron was making $200,000 a season.
What Warner's came to him with was like the apple in the Garden of Eden. It would have been a very, very strong and strange individual who would turn that down.
Pele okayed the deal. His country did not. Citing his status as a national treasure, the president of Brazil demanded he play 1 more year for his country rather than go to America. Pele turned to his suitors for help. Warner Communications headquarters, 75 Rockefeller Center, New York.
Nelson Rockefeller was the vice president of the United States.
My father worked for Nelson Rockefeller, and they asked my dad if he would ask to maybe put in a good word to the Brazilian government, and wouldn't this be a great thing for both countries to have Pele come here.
Like 3 or 4 days later, Nelson called back and says he has no idea who Pele is. He couldn't care less if he comes and play here or not, but that there is a guy in the cabinet, and he thought that would be a fantastic idea, and his name is Henry Kissinger.
In my dealings with both the Brazilian government, I tried to convince them that having Pele play in the United States was a tremendous asset for Brazil.
Pele got a phone call from the Secretary of State of Brazil, begging him to please sign the contract with the Cosmos for the good of the relationship of Brazil and the United States. Well, when Pele received that call, he said, my God, you guys can do anything, you know, I'm going with you, no matter what.
Steve Ross announced the signing at the legendary 21 Club in Manhattan.
The Cosmos held their press conference there in a room aptly named the Hunt Room, as if Pele was the prize catch.
Hello. The press corps got there 3-4 hours before the press conference and nailed their cameras, TV cameras, into the floor. And these were all the people who would never cover the Cosmos, who would never show up or respond to anything. And the sign said, capacity 143 people.
There must have been 300 reporters from all over the world.
Cameras right in front, please move back.
And Pele, you know, was on Pele time, which means that he was 2 hours late.
Steve and Jay were waiting for us. Where the hell is he? Where the hell is he? He's coming, he's coming.
And on my immediate left, Stephen J. Ross, Chairman of the Board and President of Warner Communications. And now at the door, the legend, the great one, the King, Pele.
When Pele finally came out, the rush of people to come up and meet him was, you know, unbelievable. I had never seen such a thing.
Will you please behave yourself?
So all the reporters turned into fans. We finally calmed the press corps down. One person was heckling us from the back, and we were looking behind the lights, and it's Dick Young up on a platform talking about the denigration of professional baseball, how soccer would ruin the sport of baseball. He was just heckling the entire time. Soccer's for foreigners, shouldn't be played in America, everything negative.
Dick Young was a crusty, conservative man who believed that if you didn't love everything about America, you should get the hell out.
Young was probably the best read sports writer in the United States and held a considerable amount of power. To him, the only story was that Warner's was shelling out this, obscene amount of cash for somebody he never heard of.
O soccer pegou nos Estados Unidos. Pode espalhar por aí.
You can spread out the news to all the world that the soccer arrived finally in USA.
Within 10 seconds, the time it took Pelé to sign his contracts, it all changed.
Finally this evening, something about an extraordinary man from Brazil who's been
soccer superstar Pelé.
Today in New York City, Pelé,
the greatest soccer player who ever lived.
Everywhere in the world, people knew that there was a Cosmos soccer team in New York and that Pelé played on it.
Fly, fly, touch the sky. What you gonna do now? There's no one.
We're down at practice at Randall's Island, trying to avoid the broken glass on the field and cuts on our legs. And then all of a sudden, we see a guy coming on the field and he's spray painting the dirt.
We had to take spray paint and paint the mud because there was so little grass.
And we're going, this dude is nuts. I don't know what he's doing. And then we see a helicopter flying over.
The image was irresistible, that this was the beginning of a Greek piece of theater, if you like. That Pelé was stepping in here to save this league from being trite and ordinary, that he was going to move it into the realm of a big-time league.
The Cosmos were already 9 games into the 75 season and last in their division with just 3 wins. Nevertheless, CBS agreed to broadcast Pelé's American debut.
Pelé is the most famous player in the history of soccer, and today, at the age of 34, he began a new career, playing for the New York Cosmos in the North American Soccer League.
The first game that Pelé played here on a Sunday afternoon against Dallas, the place was filled, absolutely filled.
What brings you out today, sir? Curiosity. The guy's worth $4 million. I got to see him. I've never seen a soccer game in my life.
We could have gotten in 2 or 3 times as many. It was a huge, huge game.
Pelé's magic drew the largest crowd in the history of the Cosmos.
Mr. Ross calling up, how many have we sold? How many have we sold?
I came to see Pelé because
I compare him as a Muhammad Ali in soccer game. 1 minute the play's dead, the next minute the whole place is alight.
He doesn't know what the field is like. It could be anything. It could be up and down, in and out, all around. But he played in it. He could have said, I'm not playing on that field. He didn't. He played 90 minutes. Enough said.
And when the cameras pointed to the field, it was green, it was beautiful.
The world's greatest player did not disappoint, rescuing his new team in dramatic fashion.
With the Cosmos trailing by 2, his perfect pass made a goal for Mordecai Spiegel. And then he soared above the Dallas defenders to head home, powerfully, unstoppably, the equalizing goal.
When the game was over, Pelé was in the shower. The locker room was packed with reporters. He gestured me from the shower. He goes, psst, psst, psst. So I go to him, and he says, Rafael, this is the first and the last game I play here. How can you say this to me? I mean, don't you see it's a big success? How can you possibly say that to me? He says, the most important thing in my life is my feet. And look at my feet. I have a fungus that I have contacted here. I'm not playing with you anymore. I said, Pelé, this is green paint, that we painted the field green. He could not believe it.
His first season would be the Cosmos' last on Randall's Island.
I had to get Pelé in the stadium, which he could play in, he should play in, the stadium, Giant Stadium.
Less than 7 miles from Times Square, construction in East Rutherford, New Jersey had been